Hello and welcome to Scrapping on the Fly. My name is Kristen and I'm here with our Sunday Scraplift Crafternoon, where we find someone who inspires us and we scraplift them. And today's layout is by Juliet, and you can find her on Instagram at Jules, Julesd. And I decided that I was going to get into my 49 and Market Plum Grove for the very first time to document this picture of my mom with my kids. And I am really excited and hesitant because I love the 49 and Market makes such gorgeous papers. And I usually am a little stingy with them. So I have the chipboard ephemera, I have the chipboard words, I have the tags, I have a couple different sets of rub-ons, and I have 2 different packs of paper. And so I am wanting to use this solely. And so I've already picked a couple of papers out because I really am wanting to stick with the purple and the brown. So I brought in these 2 papers. I'm going to trim out the strips from these because it's double-sided, so I don't need more than 2 pages to create what I'm looking for. And I picked the purple because of my mom's shirt. So I have these papers, these embellishments, and my picture, as well as this awesome layout. So let's see how this goes. So first things first, I trim my strips. And because they're one-sided and the way this is kind of splotchy, I can get like a white as well as the light purple and the dark purple from the back all in one. However, one of these does not get used because... spoiler alert, I cut these too thick and I wanted that big gap at the top and bottom just like Juliet has in her layout, and so I end up trimming them down a little bit. So first things first, I'm going to use, instead of the 5th or 6th, I think she uses 5 strips or 6 strips, and the bottom strip is like a text print, and instead of using that, I'm using a strip of these rub-ons that have like font and little splotches and stuff. And so I'm just loosely laying this down because I want them to mostly be in line. They're going to get covered up. At least the top part is going to get covered up. So I'm not worried if they match perfectly, but I want them to be in the same general area. So, which is good because they don't match up evenly. One of them is got like a rough bottom because it was the bottom of the rub-ons, and then the other one is straight cut because I cut it from the next layer. So I don't mind that it is not exactly the same. If I was worried about that, I would have worked something else out. But where it ends at, towards the top is getting covered by this layer, and the bottom is going to be separated by the picture. So I'm not terribly worried about them not being exact. So I lay out my papers, my strips right here, and when I lay them all down, I'm like, okay, this is way too, it's taking up too much space. Had I put the rub-ons down a little further, I might have been able to get all 5 of the strips that I created on there after I trimmed them down. But I really liked the way the 4 looked because it was broken up just right. So I'm going to distress the parts that are not getting tucked under. So the very first one, which is going to be at the bottom right above the rub-ons, I'm only distressing the bottom because it's going to get tucked under the next one up. And so, and then the next one, I'm going to distress completely the top and the bottom because it's going to lay on the top of both strips on either side. So I didn't want to have a roughed up part underneath a layer so that it doesn't look like it's, coming off the page or is not laying flat or anything. So I'm leaving a space in between because, like I said, the second layer up, or the second layer of paper up, is going to lay on the top. And so I am going to put this darker purple down first and then lay down the brown. And the reason I did that is because I am using more purple than brown, and I felt like having this one strip right here that was predominantly brown, or that is brown with just a hint of white on it, and I ink it in brown. I inked it in walnut stain. I thought that that would help bring out a little bit more of the brown coloring. And the other papers that I ink in seedless preserves. All of that is by Tim Holtz. And and it's Distress Oxide, and I just ink it with a little dauber. So I've got all my papers down, and now I am using part of the scrap from where I cut that paper to make a mat. I did trim my picture down. It is probably 5 by 3.5 or 3. It's just under 4. I cut maybe a half an inch off the side, maybe. Just because I didn't want it to be too much of the area around, because it's the parking lot. I cut off the top part where it had the Lowe's sign. I don't need all that in my picture. The point of this picture is to document my mom. This is about a year before her knee replacement surgery, and her knee was bothering her as we were coming out from lunch after church one Sunday. And my children, starting with my son and then my daughter, went to help get their Nana to the car safely because her knee was hurting. And so they're holding her up, which is super sweet. And I love this picture. So I am being really picky about what I document for 2017, because I'm trying to keep it into 2 books. So like maybe 50 layouts or 75 layouts or something like that. I can't remember. No more than 100. I know that for sure. And so I am trying to be pretty picky, but this picture was really special and I loved it. So I did get a little bit of the seedless grape ink up at the top while I was trying to get that top strip of paper tucked in. And so I decided, instead of having this little circular bit over here right above the picture like she has in her layout, I am going to move it over towards the left so it can cover up the boo-boo. I'm okay with that. I love the way it turns out, so it all works out in the end. Plus, I'm covering my little mess, which I'm pretty good at. If you make the boo-boos, you got to figure out how to cover them. So the only other things I've really pulled out from this chipboard set is 3 of the circles and a couple of the word phrases, like the strips that are similar to what she has in her layout. And then I also pull out a couple of the hearts, and I want to have at least one of the brown hearts, one of the brown circles, just so I can bring in a little of that. I want more of the purple, but a little of that brown tan color. So right here is the concept of what I'm thinking I want to do. I do change things up a little bit, because when you take things off to start adding them back on and you don't remember where you put things, it ends up in a totally different place. And that's fine, because I like the way it looks. It's just really humorous to me because I'm really bad about that. So right now I am putting down some I wanted to cut out those flowers. I wanted some flowers to embellish. And so I took some of the flowers from the rub-on, and I did that on a little strip, white scrap of white paper. And then I trimmed and loosely fussy cut around them so they would have a white base so they'd stand out, but predominantly be the rub-on. And I used mostly purple, but one brown so that I could bring that in as well. And I cluster them in a couple of different places. Now I thought about doing another one for the top to come out at the top, but instead just cut the rub-on off of the sheet and tucked it under a little and just rubbed it on right there. And so that's going to help cover up a little bit of that purple, as well as the circle. And the circle was a plain purple circle, and I took one of the rub-ons, and I've never done this before, so I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, but I used a rub-on that circle of a little brown butterfly. And so because the background's purple, it stands out even more because now the butterfly looks a little bit more purple with a little brown in there. So I love the way that turned out, and I attached that down. And then I wasn't sure where I wanted to put this heart. I don't want to cover anything up. But I end up covering up another little dot of ink that got caught up there at the top. So that I like where that is. It's got a little trifecta with the circle and the heart, and then that little floral cluster right below it. And so then I put that give thanks, the brown circle to the left of the picture. That was originally down below the paper and the rub-ons. And the word phrases were up a little higher, but that's okay. And then I just added the cluster down at the bottom that says love my family. So here is Juliet's layout again. Like I said, I love this layout, and that picture of that little girl is so cute. And here is my finished product. So I hope that you all will go check out everyone who's participating and playing along with us this week. I'm not sure who it is. I know Tara is. She's the one who picked this. And I'm pretty sure, I know Christine is, but I don't know who else. So it will be below. I hope you'll go check that out, and go over to Instagram and check out Juliet, and her link will be below. So I hope you all have a fantastic day, and come back and see me again real soon. Have a good night, and happy scrapping.